Welcome to the Rubber Chicken Report podcast. We cover everything from clowning and magic to balloon twisting and the business behind the fun. Subscribe and check us out on YouTube at the Rubber Chicken Report. Let's jump in.
Before we get started with this episode, I wanted to note that the AI used in this conversation pronounces AUGUSTE character as AUGUSTE. I tried to fix it and our AI friends even mention it, but that's just how the cookie crumbles. Anyway, enjoy.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to sort through the noise, connect the dots, and, well, find those surprising details that really bring a topic to life.
And today, we're tackling an art form that's, frankly, way older and maybe deeper than most people think. We're talking about the history of clowning.
It really is, and we have to kind of redefine clown from the start, don't we? Because we're not just talking about circus tents from the 1800s.
Not at all. We're actually starting, believe it or not, 4,000 years ago. One of the most surprising things we pulled from the sources, clowning roots go back to 2000 BCE, ancient Egypt.
Right. In the pharaoh's court, no less, there are actual hieroglyphics on the Giza pyramids showing juggling Egyptians, so the performance tradition might start right there.
Pretty amazing. So our mission today is basically to trace this whole story, chronologically, from those ancient beginnings right up to the American three-ring circus, and focus on the key people and moments you wanted to explore.
Yeah, and the big question hanging over it all, especially now, is how did this art form go from, royal jesters to being the absolute heart of the greatest show on Earth?
And crucially, what happens to it when that show, or the modern version of it, decides clowns aren't part of the picture anymore?
Okay, let's dive in. Medieval Europe first, say 1100 to 1600. This is the age of the court jester.
And these jesters, they were often the only ones who could actually criticize the king.
Right.
Using humor as a shield.
Exactly. And the sources gave us this one incredible story. Roald on Le Péteur.
Oh, it's fantastic. King Henry II of England gives this guy, Roland, 30 acres of land in Suffolk, which sounds pretty standard.
The catch.
The catch. He had to show up every Christmas day and perform, and the sources give the Latin, saltum, siffletum, et petum.
Which translates to a leap, a whistle, and a fart.
Yes, a literal fart. For land every Christmas. It's just, wow.
It says so much about that era's humor, doesn't it? Very physical, very direct.
Totally. But as theater became more public, moving out of the courts, the art needed a new shape. And that brings us to Italy.
Commedia dell'arte. Around 1500 to 1700. This feels like the bedrock for so much comedy. The idea of stock characters, right?
Precisely. Commedia used these standardized archetypal figures. Your sources mentioned over 300 different types, each with a mask, a costume, a specific role.
Wow, 300.
Yeah. And it wasn't like reading a script. It was more like high-wire improv. Everyone knew the basic story, but the actors had to come up with new gags constantly.
Okay, so that's where the lazzo comes in.
Exactly. The lazzo, L-A-Z-O, was like a pre-planned bit, a joke or routine the actors knew. They could drop it in if the improv needed a boost.
Gotcha.
And the clowns in Commedia, the sort of servant trickster types, they were called the Zanni. This included key figures we still recognize, like Pierrot.
The sad clown type?
Kind of, yeah, the melancholic one. And Arlecchino, or Harlequin, who was the master of physical comedy. Lots of pantomime.
So you see the seeds of both the physical gag and the silent performance right there.
Absolutely. And it's Pierrot and that pantomime style that travels especially to France in the 1600s and 1700s, which really sets the stage for the next big leap over in England.
Okay, let's talk about the father of modern clowning, Joseph Grimaldi, born 1778.
Right. Before Grimaldi, clowns were often just side characters, stock figures doing basic tricks or slapstick. Grimaldi wanted the clown to be the star.
He elevated it. How did he do that artistically?
Pathos. That's the key word. He gave the clown real emotional depth, tragedy alongside the comedy. His act was this mixed comedy, mime, dance, slapstick, music, all centered on this huge character.
And the look, the makeup.
Iconic. That bold white face makeup, the exaggerated mouth and cheeks. That was Grimaldi. Designed specifically so people in the cheap seats at Drury Lane or Sadler's Wells, the big London theaters, could see every expression.
That visual is so powerful, but doing all that, the mime, the dance, the falls, it must have been brutal physically.
It absolutely destroyed him. He had to retire in 1823, just 45 years old, completely crippled, literally wore his body out for the art. But what's really fascinating is how his fame lasted. Charles Dickens, the state, Charles Dickens edited and published Grimaldi's memoirs in 1838, just a year after he died.
No way! Dickens!
Yes. And that connection kept Grimaldi's legend alive. made him this central figure in British culture for ages. We still call clowns Joeys sometimes because of him.
That's incredible. So while Grimaldi is making the clown a theater star, something else is happening nearby that will define the next stage for clowns.
The circus ring. Yeah, we need to shift focus from the theater stage to this new format. Philip Astley, London, 1768. He created the ring, initially for horse acts.
Why a ring?
Easier to perform and watch equestrian tricks, swordplay on horseback, that kind of thing, in a circle. He figured out the perfect size was 42 feet in diameter.
And that 42-foot circle became the standard everywhere, didn't it?
It did. By the late 1800s, circuses across Europe were using it, and then inevitably across the Atlantic.
Which happened pretty quickly. The sources mention John Bill Ricketts, trained with Astley.
That's the guy. He brought the first proper circus to America in 1793. Philadelphia, I think.
And with the circus came the first American clowns. Matthew Sully first.
Matthew Sully, yeah. He was listed as a harlequin tumbler and thinger. Then John Durang joined Ricketts in 1795. He was the first American-born clown. We're talking about the very start of this whole American entertainment tradition.
It's amazing to think George Washington went to see Ricketts Circus in 1797, right at the beginning of the country.
Yeah, puts it in perspective. Ricketts' own story, though. It's pretty tragic. Circus burned down, he sailed off, got captured by French privateers, then chartered another ship back to England, and that ship sank. Lost everyone. It really shows you how tough and risky life was for these early performers.
Definitely. But the American circus was here to stay. The first official American circus title, though, goes to Pepin and Brushard, 1807 to 1815.
Right, mostly because Victor Pepin was actually born in America, in what's now New York. And they left a huge mark, too. They built the Walnut Street Theater in Philly in 1809.
Which is still operating today. Oldest theater in the English-speaking world.
Incredible, isn't it? And we also have to remember other influences, like minstrel shows, which were huge back then and used a lot of clowning techniques.
Right. And that connection to Dan Rice.
Dan Rice. Super interesting figure. A major clown star. And his costume, red, white, and blue, is supposedly the direct inspiration for the image of Uncle Sam.
Really? Uncle Sam came from a clown?
That's the story. It just shows how deeply ingrained the clown image was becoming in American culture, even shaping national symbols.
Okay, so the circus is spreading across America, often by train, reaching huge audiences. And the clown types start to really separate out, right? Solidify into archetypes.
Exactly. This happens roughly between, say, 1830 and 1860. It's a key period for defining the dynamics you see in the ring later. You start with the white face.
The classic, inspired by Grimaldi.
Definitely gets the look from Grimaldi. But in the circus, the white face becomes more refined, aristocratic, clever. Often the straight man setting up the gags. This was the big European style.
Okay, so the white face is in charge. Sort of. Then you have the Pierrot type.
Yeah, Pierrot evolves more into that sad, poetic clown figure, especially popular in France, thanks to performers like Debrau.
And then the chaos agent, the Auguste.
The Auguste.
Yes.
Pronounced Auguste?
Yeah.
Are you listening? The comic foil. The clumsy, lovable disaster who messes everything up. He seems to pop up in Germany.
And there's that famous origin story, right? It sounds like a classic clown gag itself.
It really does. The story goes it's 1869 Germany. An American performer named Tom Belling gets confined to his dressing room for some reason.
Uh-oh.
So he messes around, puts on baggy clothes, maybe mimics the ringmaster. The ringmaster walks in. Belling panics, runs out, trips over the ring curb, right into the ring.
In front of everyone.
In front of everyone, and the audience starts yelling, "Auguste! Auguste!" which was apparently German slang for fool or idiot.
Huh. So he got named by the audience, basically.
Well, that's the legend. Whether it happened exactly like that, who knows? Some sources argue the word Auguste only became popular later, and Belling might have actually borrowed the character from Russian Rigi clowns.
Okay. The ones with the bright, wild hair.
That's the connection they make. So the history's a bit murky, but the Auguste, the disruptive fool, becomes absolutely central. He's the opposite of the white face. White face is order, Auguste is anarchy. Their clash drives the comedy.
And we also need the third major type, the tramp.
Yes, and it's important the sources specify this. Otto Griebling, a huge name later on, he was a tramp clown, not an Auguste. The categories got very specific. The tramp often carried a different weight, more pathos maybe.
Got it. Okay, speaking of huge names, this leads us right into the era of the circus titans in America. The consolidation. P.T. Barnum starts his greatest show on earth in 1871. Very focused on spectacle curiosities.
Right, but he quickly got serious competition from James A. Bailey, who ran the Cooper and Bailey Circus from 1876. Bailey's show was maybe seen as a bit more sophisticated.
And these two giants, Barnum and Bailey, they eventually merged.
They did in 1881, probably realized they were better off together, and that's when they introduced the three-ring format.
Ah, okay. So the merger led to the three rings.
Seems so. They needed the space for the sheer amount of stuff they were putting on as Barnum and Bailey's Greatest Show on Earth, and those three rings changed, clowning again. Everything had to be bigger, broader, more visual to reach thousands under that giant tent.
Meanwhile, you've got the Ringling Brothers starting up.
Yep. 7 brothers, Baraboo, Wisconsin, 1884. Started as a small traveling wagon show, but they grew fast and became real rivals to Barnum and Bailey.
And eventually, they bought them out.
They did. After Barnum died in 91 and Bailey died in 1906, the Ringling Brothers bought the whole operation from Bailey's estate in 1907.
And that created the name everyone knows.
That's the one. Ringling Bros and Barnum and Bailey Circus, the greatest show on earth, dominated the whole 20th century.
So moving into the 20th century, the look kind of crystallizes too. Albert Fratellini.
Yeah, from the Fratellini Trio, influential European clowns. He's often credited with really popularizing the red nose, which became, fundamental, hugely influenced Lou Jacobs' look.
And this era gave us some absolute legends of the ring. Emmett Kelly.
Emmett Kelly, yeah. He really defined the trank clown with his character Weary Willie. He joined Ringling in 1942.
And Weary Willie wasn't just funny, right? There was something more there, especially during the Depression.
Oh, definitely. He was this silent, kind of sad figure, very relatable, reflecting that economic hardship. He had real pathos, that tragicomic quality.
Alongside him, you had guys like Lou Jacobs, German-born.
Yeah, Lou Jacobs joined way back in 1926. Otto Griebling, also German-born, he joined in 51, the tramp clown we mentioned. Felix Adler started super young, 1908. And Glenn Frosty Little, he came along in 68. These guys were the clown alley for decades.
But it wasn't always smooth sailing, even for these icons. There was a big strike, 1956.
Yes, a major labor dispute right outside Madison Square Garden. Involved the Teamsters Union and the American Guild of Variety Artists, AGVA.
And some of the biggest names took a stand.
They did. Emmett Kelly, Felix Adler, and the ringmaster Harold Ronk, they refused to cross the picket line, chose solidarity with the union.
Wow. What happened to them?
Their contracts were terminated. Just like that. Even stars like Kelly. It really shows you the power struggles behind the scenes.
Definitely. But there was also an effort to keep the art alive, formally. The Clown College.
Right. Ringling Bros and Barnum and Bailey started the Clown College in 1968. Ran until 97. It was a way to actually teach the craft, pass down those skills, the gags, the character work, the makeup.
But some legends taught there.
Yeah. Otto Griebling and Frosty Little were instructors. Passing the torch, ensuring those traditions didn't just fade away.
Which brings us almost to today. The traditional greatest show on earth, the three-ring version, it shut down in 2017. End of an era.
A huge moment. Felt like the end of that whole lineage we've been tracing.
And while Ringling Bros and Barnum and Bailey did relaunch in 2023, it's different.
Very different. They made a specific choice to modernize by removing 2 things. The animals, which was a big public debate, and the clown alley. No traditional clowns.
So here we are, 2025, and the final note in the source material really hits home. Here we sit, trying to preserve the art that is dying. We are the future.
It's quite a statement, isn't it? After tracing this line for 4,000 years, from Egyptian jugglers to jesters getting land for fart jokes, to Grimaldi's pathos, the Whiteface versus Auguste battle, Emmett Kelly's tramp reflecting the times.
Yeah, and now, the main stage for so long, that big top circus, it's gone. Or at least it doesn't include them in the same way. So the question becomes, what's next?
Exactly. What's the new venue? What's the new archetype? How does the Zanny or the Auguste or the Tramp keep doing what they do? The satire, the emotion, the physical comedy for a new generation. Where do they perform that?
That really is the challenge, isn't it? For anyone wanting to carry on that tradition that started, incredibly, back in a pharaoh's court.
It's the big question for the future of the art form.
Something profound for you to definitely think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
That's it for this episode of the Rubber Chicken Report. Hit subscribe and catch us on YouTube for more adventures. Until next time.